Welcome to the Project DIY Hunter Podcast. If you're thinking about hunting DIY, or if you've been hunting DIY for a long time, this podcast is for you. We invite you to join us as we seek to gain knowledge to continue to be successful DIY hunters. Thanks for listening and enjoy the podcast. So what is up, everybody? Thanks for getting in for another episode of the Project DIY Hunter Podcast. Today's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be by myself, but I'm going to be talking about when me and my buddy Tyler went to Maine. I'm going to tell you what happened while we were there, and then I'm going to tell you how we got there, the logistics of it, and everything like that. So if you wanted to go do something like this on your own, you could go do it. But, I mean, obviously we had a guide. We're not driving 18 hours to go hunt 2 days. So my plan was to go for like a long weekend, and we left Thursday night, flew in, got there pretty late, I would say around 11, and went straight to our hotel, and then met the guy at the ramp at probably about 5 o'clock, and then it wasn't a very far boat ride from there to the place that we were planning on hunting, and we set out 3 long lines. Our plan was to put out a wind mojo, but we were not able to do that because I think it was 45 feet and we had 40 foot of line. So we couldn't put that wind mojo out, but we did run 3 long lines, kind of one straight off the middle of the boat, and then we had 2 kind of angled, one off the front and then one off the back, kind of angled out. And when we got there, I told him, me and Tyler wanted to do everything, just show us what to do. We want to do it, just say we've done it. So it's pretty cool. It's not nothing like we do in South Carolina, for sure. I guess you can long line some down at the coast, which we did last year, but that was after the Maine trip, because the opening weekend in Maine is usually like the 13th, 14th. I think it opens on like a Wednesday, which is pretty weird. I think it opened on the 9th in 2020, and then we were there 3 days later. And so another thing is you can't hunt on Sunday in Maine. So you kind of set it up to where Sunday is just a sightseeing, a lot of lighthouses and that kind of stuff in that area that you could go see. But you can hunt Friday, Saturday, so that's what we did. 2 days was plenty. I didn't get the one bird that I wanted. We did get 3 different species, and didn't get my long-tailed or old squaw, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, we flew in that night and got our hotel, got the next morning, met the guy at the ramp, took a short boat ride. It seemed kind of long because it was pretty rough. We didn't get to go out to one of the bays that we wanted to hunt just because it was too rough to go. So we had to stay kind of inshore a little bit and couldn't get out there in those rough waves, which it was still pretty rough where we were. And so when we set up on these kelp farms, I guess you would call them, and we just kind of backed the boat up to them, set up, put our decoys out like I said, and they started working in. The eider hens were everywhere. They would just come in if you were standing up or whatever, but you could tell the juvenile males and then the older males, they were a lot harder to get into the decoys than the hens were. So we had plenty of hens swimming around, and we wasn't there to kill a bunch of ducks. I mean, yeah, we were there to shoot ducks, but our main goal was to get an eider and a scoter and a longtail old squaw. I did actually kill a black duck that first morning too, which is pretty cool. Out there on the coast, they usually stay kind of away from the coast until everything starts freezing up and kind of work their way back, from my understanding. But yeah, so we did pretty good that first morning. I think we got our limit by probably 9 o'clock, I think it was. And then in this area that we were hunting, there was a fort and some other stuff that we kind of went and checked out in the boat, which was pretty awesome. So we left that day, went back to the hotel, went and got us some barbecue and hung out. Portland's a pretty cool place if you've never been to Portland, Maine. A lot of stuff to do there. I totally recommend spending some time not hunting and just hanging out and adventuring around. A lot of forts. There's actually a big island there that people have to go back and forth from boat or a trolley, and they have cars on, or water taxi, I guess. But they have cars on this island, and it's pretty cool. But it's 100% surrounded by water, with no bridge, so they have to take a boat or whatever to get there. But going back to the hunting aspect, I mean, there is a lot of places to hunt in that area. I could see a lot of places, but that second day, we basically did the same thing. There was a spot we wanted to go to because I told the guide that I wanted to kill a longtail. Like, that was my goal. That day was to kill nothing but a longtail. So we're setting out in a different spot because somebody was already in the spot we wanted to go to. So we're sitting there. One comes in. He's a little far out, and I shot, and he fell and just dove down. And I don't know if you know this, but the long-tailed duck is the deepest diving duck in the world, and it's insane. So when they go down and dive, there's no telling where they're going to come back up. And I didn't make a good shot at him, I guess. I mean, he was far off, and we never did see him again. We looked and looked. Then went and sat back up on the kelp farm, and then we had some guys come, and they started diving kind of out to our front left. It was later, probably around 9:30, 10 o'clock. And so we just kind of watched them for a while, and then went and moved on somewhere else. So was going to start trying to shoot some while we were drifting. So we just cut the motor off, sit back, relax, talk, and just waited because they were moving pretty good, because I seen on Ducks Unlimited that this year was like the biggest migration of those long-tailed ducks into Maine, from like Halifax or wherever they come down from. And I mean, it was pretty awesome. We seen a ton of them, but they were very smart. They're not going to come in there and decoy all the time. So I mean, they're hard to get. It seems to me, because we had them flying all over us, and they would always kind of right out of range. Right where if you hit him and nick him, he's going to be gone. So we didn't take a lot of those shots on them. The one I did think that was close enough, obviously probably wasn't. But I thought I folded him, but he definitely dove down, and we never seen him again. But getting back to the area we were in, we're back in the bay. We couldn't go. I guess we're back in one of the backwater channels. There was people lobstering and that kind of stuff in this area, but we didn't actually get to go out to the bay in the open water, which was kind of a bummer. We didn't get to do it either day, but we still had an awesome time. Still going back this year. Just booked my flight last night, which is kind of why I wanted to talk about this. So last time, 2020, I booked a one-way there and a one-way back just because it was cheaper and the times were better for me. Flew out United and come back American. So now I just kind of want to talk about what you need to do to get ready for a hunt like this, kind of the planning, the execution of the flight, the getting the gun to Portland, Maine. All that is pretty easy. It's really easy to do. You just got to take some time and look up the regulations and just plan everything. Start with your flight, move to your hotel, and then go to your car rental. So that's kind of the way I did. And so if you're flying with a gun, you obviously have to check it. So I have a big enough case so I could check 2 shotguns. So I put 2 shotguns in there, and you always kind of want to put some other stuff in there because you have 50 pounds. So you kind of want to get your money's worth and just put whatever else you might want to in there that'll fit, so you get your money's worth and have more room in your carry-on, because I normally don't check another bag just because that's something else for the airlines to get lost. I mean, obviously sometimes you have to, but I never do check a bag if I can carry, if I can use a carry-on. So we had the carry-on with all of our clothes in it. Basically, we didn't need waders or none of that because we're going to be in the boat the whole time. So I just took some, warm boots. Luckily, it wasn't super cold. It was probably I guess, the average duck hunting temperature here in South Carolina. So probably around 30 degrees, 35 degrees. So, which I guess it don't get that cold anymore now either, but here in South Carolina. But the temperature wasn't awful, so we didn't take a whole lot of gear because we knew that ahead of time. We checked the weather before we went and found out it wasn't going to be as chilly and frigid as we thought it was going to be in Maine. So we got our stuff packed. Just took a carry-on and a personal item. Had plenty of luggage with that for a 3-day trip. You got a backpack and a small suitcase. I mean, me and Tyler both could have probably packed our stuff in one backpack. It'd have been just fine. That's just, I guess, the way guys are. They don't take a bunch of unneeded clothes. But we flew out of GSP, and then we landed in Baltimore. Then from Baltimore, we flew on up to Portland. It was really nice, actually. We had zero issues on the flights. Both of them were on time. We got to the Portland airport and made our way over to the car rental. So we were right there at that jet port. The car rental was just right across the drop-off area. So we got down there, had to wait in line just a little bit to get our rental car. Everything was smooth. We got a Suburban just like we wanted, and off we were. I mean, it was probably 11:30. We didn't get to the hotel till 12. I got a hotel for one night right there close to the airport, which is probably 30 minutes from where we were hunting. So it's not like it was way out of the way or nothing. But I just figured we would want to get somewhere closer to the airport that night to get into bed a little earlier, being that we was getting up at 4 o'clock. So another point or two. So when you rent a car, a lot of times I try to not pay for it up front. So I like to get where I can cancel it for free. And that way I always check right before I get on my first flight to see kind of what the prices are. Because I've noticed in Wyoming and a lot of these other places that I've been, when you rent a car, there's last minute deals and then there's far off deals, far off from when you leave. So it's nice to either book it super early or super late. So always check whenever you land to see kind of what deals you get. I mean, we got a King Ranch, a Ford King Ranch F-150 in Wyoming for $35 a day, plus all their fees and stuff. So it comes out like $80. But still, that was a pretty good deal. So I mean that's pretty much it. I mean it's very easy to do. You just got to take initiative and look that stuff up and schedule it out and plan it out, and I mean you'll be fine. Some of the key points I would say would be flying with a gun. So we put 2 guns in one case, like I said. Take it in there. Take it up to the counter and let them know you have weapons in this case. The case needs to have at least 2 locks, one's on each side, and they could be TSA approved, which makes life easier. But never leave until they tell you can leave. I've been told, "Oh, we'll get it. Go ahead." Like, no, I want to make sure that everything is good. I want to make sure you can open it and everything before you leave that counter. Make sure everything's good and it's ready to go. The last thing you want to do is get called back to that area to check out a gun, and then you're racing back to get on your plane. So definitely that's one of the key points I would throw out. The rental car would be another one. There's different ways to rent cars now. It's pretty outrageous of what these places are doing. Budget is usually pretty cheap, but we got lucky on that car rental. It was like $500 or $300 when it was all said. I think it was like $500 when it was all said and done. But we're looking now to go out to Wyoming, and car rentals is just skyrocketed. I mean, it's like for the week that we're going out there, it's like $1,500 plus all their little tiny fees they want to throw in there to rent, like a Tahoe or Suburban. So we've been looking into Toro, which is what we're going to use this time in Maine. So this year, 2021, I plan on hunting with my wife, Jessica, and my dad. My dad's going to hunt with me the first morning, and then I believe Jessica's going to hunt me with the second morning. So we're kind of spreading it out a little bit. We might even hunt Monday depending on weather. But we are trying to go to Acadia National Park and to New Hampshire, all in this trip, just to check that out and say we've been there and see what it's like. So that's another key point I like to throw out. When you go on these hunts, do some other stuff other than hunt. Go out there in the morning, hunt, have a successful hunt, and then go check out the area. There's more to it than just hunting in these places. So that would be another thing I like to throw out there. And I believe that just about wraps up Maine 2020. I'm excited to go again. I believe I just booked the flight and car rental this week for Maine 2021. We're going with the same guy, Tom. He's an awesome guy. I will post it on Facebook, all his information and stuff. So if you listen to this, please go check out our Facebook. I'll probably put a blog on our website, www.projectdiyhunter.com, about this. And, you can come there and ask any questions you want. I'd be more than happy to answer anything I can. I'm just starting in this traveling and hunting too, but obviously I've done it a couple times, so I can definitely help you and answer any questions that you may have. So feel free to reach out to us, and thanks for listening. And as always, go Tigers.